Hi, I'm Jessica Robinson. I'm the founder of Better Said Than Done. I am also myself a storyteller, and I'm also a videographer because let's face it, storytelling doesn't always pay the bills. But I'm telling you that because being a videographer gives me a unique perspective on how to produce storytelling shows, specifically virtual and hybrid storytelling shows. Now, Sheila asked me to talk about hybrid storytelling shows because we at Better Said Than Done have had a couple of them, and I've been told that they went well, not only for the people in person, but also for the people watching at home. So hopefully I have a little bit of information I can convey. Okay, so first of all, when I say hybrid, what do I mean? What I mean might be different from what you mean. So let me just tell you, hybrid to me means having an in-person event that is also broadcast. Now, people can broadcast it different ways. They can broadcast it to YouTube, to Facebook, I don't know where else, but somewhere else. They can live stream it, or they can record it and post the videos later. The way we've been doing it at Better Said Than Done is we have been having an in-person event with a limited number of audience members, and then using a camera to live stream the event. So it is possible for people at home to watch the event at the same time people in the audience are watching the event. So when I'm talking about a hybrid event, that is what we do. We have a live in-person show and we live stream it out to audience members, and anyone who bought a virtual ticket can watch live as it happens, or they can watch later because the video goes to YouTube and it's the same link, and they can watch the recording the next day if they are not available to watch live. Now, the reason I like doing the live streaming is because I feel like it brings energy. As an audience member, when possible, I like to watch shows that are live. I like to watch it as it happens. I also like getting the recording because half the time I can't make it live, or I have to leave early, or I get there late. So I like having the recording, but I like the energy that you feel when you're participating live. To give the audience members at home a sense of that live feeling, because we think that's one of the benefits, we have had friends of ours on YouTube as Better Said Than Done, responding to comments that people are making as audience members and just posting little comments like, our next storyteller is Jack Shear and you can find more information about him here, or just to make it feel a little bit interactive, because it's not on Zoom, it's not a chat thing. The audience at home isn't really interacting the same way that they have been on Zoom, but they can comment on YouTube and there is someone who is with them live responding to their comments. Now, I have a couple tips, pieces of advice, things that I've figured out from doing this, and I'm going to kind of go through my list here. So first of all, just so you understand what we do, this is not going to work for everyone because everyone's budget is different, everyone's knowledge of technology is different, everyone's circumstance is different. What I do is I use a Panasonic camera. As I mentioned, I am a videographer, so I already have a Panasonic camera. Unless you are a videographer, you're probably not going to be using that camera. It's several $1,000s. You don't need a several $1,000 camera. I'm just letting you know what I use because I am a videographer. Just side note, please don't ask me for advice on consumer cameras. I haven't bought a camera for less than several $1,000s in 20 years because I am a professional videographer. I don't know the market for $1,000 or less cameras. I just don't, but happy to give other advice. So we use a video camera. We use Sennheiser lavalier mics plugged in. One of them is on the stage for the storytellers. The other one is plugged into my camera. My camera has an XLR input, and so it works with Sennheisers. You got to think about these things. And then I plug the camera in to my computer using an Elgato cam link and an HDMI cable. Again, this might not be what your setup is, but this is the setup that's been working for us. And then I stream to YouTube via OBS. OBS is a free software. it's not easy to use. I'm not going to lie to you. It is not intuitive at all. I have heard great things about StreamYard, so you might want to check that out. I know a lot of storytellers use StreamYard already. That might be an option for you. I use OBS because someone recommended it to me early on, and it runs similar to video editing software, and we stream to YouTube. That's our setup. That's how we do it. Now, the downside of live streaming an event is we're selling it as a live stream event. So people are buying tickets because they want to watch it live. At least some of them do. Some of them are planning on watching the recording, but some of them want to be in the room when it happens. The internet could go down, or we've had spotty internet at our venue where there's been moments where the screen didn't, we've had spotty internet. It doesn't always work perfectly. So things like that can go wrong. If you are just telling people we're having this live event, buy a ticket to watch the recording, the benefit is you can fix that in post. And in fact, I have now had 2 shows that we've done this with, and both shows people watched the live stream as it happened. It went okay, except there was a little bit of crackling sound on the audio. And then the next day I replaced the video that had the crackling sound with the video I had recorded, because it's the same video only without the crackling sound. That adds work. That takes more time. And when you post that video the next day, if you do end up changing it out, you lose all the comments. So the video that you're sending out to people after the fact doesn't have the comments of the people who watched live. So there are some downsides to it. The other thing I have found is that our audience for our live stream shows has been smaller than our virtual only shows. And I think it's because I think people either want you as a performer, producer to commit to performing for the people at home, or to commit to performing for an audience, and they are afraid to watch a show that is being performed for an audience and yet also being supposedly performed for an at-home audience. Now, I knew that going in. I had heard other people complaining that they didn't like live stream shows because it didn't feel as connected. As we are all connecting with people on Zoom, we've gotten used to looking into the Zoom camera. It feels like you're being performed for when you're watching on your computer or your phone or your TV at home. And when people perform on a stage in front of a live audience, they're ignoring the people at home. So why would I want to watch a video of that? So what we have done is, one, as I mentioned before, we have had someone monitoring the chat on YouTube and commenting and responding to comments. And 2, we have told all of the performers, including the MC, to include the camera in their performance, to treat the camera as an audience member, not to ignore the live audience, but to add one more audience member. The camera is another audience member. And I think it's gone really well. In fact, I've had other people compliment us on the quality of our production and on the quality of the performance, saying that it felt like they still felt like they were included in the performance, the way you do when you're watching a Zoom show. So keep your at-home audience in mind when you are performing in a hybrid situation. You can't ignore the people who are there live in front of you, and you can't ignore the people who are watching at home, or they will feel it. So make sure to include them. But as I mentioned before, our audience the numbers for our hybrid shows have been lower than the numbers for our Zoom only shows. So we are still having virtual shows once a month, and we're having hybrid shows about once a month. And we're not selling on purpose. We're not selling a lot of in-person tickets because we just don't want to pack a room right now. Don't feel good about that these days. And yet we're not selling a lot of virtual tickets either. And I think that there is still some education that has to happen. I think we as producers need to do the work of making the performance is good for people watching on screens, but also we need to let people know that they should check this out. It actually can feel really engaging, and if you do it right. So hopefully, as we continue with this hybrid model, more and more people will tune in from across the country to not only our virtual only shows, but also to our hybrid shows. So to kind of summarize, when we say hybrid, we mean we are performing in front of an in-person live audience and also live streaming to an audience that is watching at home. We make the video recording available to anyone who buys a ticket to watch at home, and to anyone who buys a ticket, actually. You can also buy a live in-person ticket, but you still get the link to watch on YouTube. We also, just something I didn't mention, we record on our camera as well as live streaming. So if anything does go wrong with the internet or with the stream itself, we have the recording. We can still send it out the next day as we have been doing, just as a backup. And we tell our performers to make sure to engage not only the live in-person audience, but also the audience watching at home so that they can feel included. Also, as a camera person, we make sure to frame the performers on screen about where I am right now at a medium shot. So again, the people at home feel like they are close to the performer. They don't feel the distance of if the performer is full bodied on stage, because that feels too far away. And then finally, I think that we have some educating to do with our audiences. So we need to let people know that this is a way forward, but it's not going to happen if people aren't buying tickets. Video is expensive. The only reason I'm able to do this is because I am a videographer. But it also means that I'm not performing in the shows. I'm not emceeing the shows. I'm needing people to help with the door. I need people to help with all the things that I am normally doing at a show. I'm not doing because I'm running the tech. So if you have the budget to have someone who is devoted to doing this for you, that is great. And if you don't, then you have to get really good at technology. And that's, it's not a perfect world and it's not a perfect technology, but we will get there. We will learn, we will pivot, and we will move forward together.